And so no matter where you're viewing us from, know that it's Wealthy You Wind Down Wednesday, and this is where we talk all about wealth. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, also founder and CEO of Wealthy You, where we help Black women build their first investment portfolios to 7 figures and beyond. And I'm so excited about the growth that I see in all of you, whether it's your first 5 figures, whether it's your first 6 figures, whether it's your first 7 figures, and whether it's beyond 7 figures. Know this, that it's all about taking those steps in order to grow and to achieve the level of financial success that you all desire and that you all deserve. I want to make sure, though, that you can all see me on the gallery. Can everybody see me? Daprina, can you see me okay?
Yep, I see you good.
Okay, perfect. So good evening, everybody. It's Wealthy You Wind Down Wednesday, and that means that you need to get your favorite glass of vino, because I certainly have mine. And let in the chat, everybody, post where you're from. I want to see who's here in the room for me. Where are you from? So I can give all of you a shout out. Let me get folks just a few minutes to come on as well. I know we're texting and we're emailing, and so I want to give everybody just a few minutes to go in. So who's here? Lillian, hey, from the Bay Area. All right. My old stomping ground. And by the way, for many of you, if you know you've got friends in here who need to be here hanging out with us, make sure you invite them in to the community. If you're watching me on Facebook, make sure that you tag a friend. If you're watching me on YouTube, do the same. So let's hear. Man, we got a lot of Californians in here. Ramona Bailey from Chino Hills. That's right. Let's see. We've got North Carolina. Oh, Stephanie, it's so good to see you. North Carolina. Felicia Ford, right, Chicagoland, Chicago, Chi-Town in the house. Carol from New Jersey, welcome. Well, ladies, as I alluded to all of you, we have got a lot going on in Wealthy You. And in the chat, let me know how many of you have been watching our Get Wealthy segments on the Black Star Networks. Hey, Vivian. From my hometown, Detroit, Deb from New Jersey, Karen from Cincinnati. Hey, Karen. Arethea from Texas. Man, we got you from all over. So in the chat, let me know how many of you have been watching Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network. We are on that's right, Lillian, excellent. We just dropped our 4th episode. Stephanie, you've been watching as well. What were your takeaways? That's what I want to know. What are your takeaways? Vivian said, watching replay. Excellent. Know that too. You can watch all of the replays. Daprina has them all in the guide sections of the, it has them all in the guide. So I guess I should ask the question, how many of you know what Get Wealthy is? Well, Get Wealthy is our new weekly program airing on the Black Star Network. Of course, that Black Star Network was launched by Roland Martin, and he's launched 4 shows, and we are one of them. We've gotten great feedback from the shows. Tag a friend, tell your friends about Get Wealthy, because every week it drops at 11 a.m. in the morning and then re-airs at 8 o'clock p.m. Runs about an hour, and we have had some phenomenal guests on. And I know that many of the women in Wealthy you just wait, because we're going to be telling your story. So why am I excited about Get Wealthy? I'm excited about Get Wealthy because we really show the financial transformation of the women in Wealthy You. First up, our first episode, Dr. Sharon Dean really shared. How many of you saw that story? Dr. Sharon Dean sharing how by going through one of WealthyU's 5-day savvy money makeover challenges, she went from a negative 1,500 to now multi six figures, high six figures in net worth. So how many of you saw that show? And then who came after that? Tamika. How many of you saw the show with Tamika with her cute little self talking about how she had $80,000 in student loan debt, and in a couple of years she now has hit six figures? Was that awesome? Awesome. And aren't our ladies just beautiful? It's so funny. I saw somebody commented on Roland Martin. They were like, man, I like that Get Wealthy. And woo, that Dr. Sharon Deans wasn't bad to look at either. I'm like, see, that's why we got to have a women's group. Because, see, they don't know how to act. And then we had Dr. Tisa Silver Kennedy come on and talk about her journey and how mindset, strategy, execution, how she had this calling. She wanted to help more people get rid of student loan debt, but she was very strategic about how she did that. And all with the framework of mindset, strategy, execution. You guys know we're giving people an inside look into the framework of how you can become successful, financially successful. So this Monday, we dropped another episode. And I so love this young lady. And here's what I want to tell you. You know what? When I'm interviewing these women, I have no idea what they're going to say. I mean, certainly I've coached them and I know the interaction that we've had over the years, but I don't know what they're going to say half the time, right? And sometimes you guys know I'm interviewing them, but I'm like, what? Wow, that's amazing. And I know people are saying, well, how is she saying that's amazing when they're talking about her? Because it is amazing to me. Listen, here's what I want you all to understand, is I had an idea, right? I had an idea and I had a calling. And I felt like far too many women, well, first it was my own mother, seeing her separate from my father and her standard of living decline. And then recognizing that, hey, the only reason I have access to this information is because it was my career. And then finding out that many of you were going into these financial services institutions asking for help. And because you were not perceived as high net worth, you didn't get the time of day. And that's really the genesis of WealthyU. And so here we are. I've been coaching for over 5 years now. We launched WealthyU Society 2 years ago. And all of these women that I'm interviewing, man, it's been amazing what has happened in the past couple of years. But for those of you who have not seen our amazing Get Wealthy show, well, I want to give you just a taste of our most recent episode. On the next Get Wealthy, make the shift from earner to owner and achieve the level of success that you desire and that you deserve. You have to know your worth. You can't settle for what someone is going to give you. You've got to take ownership and be prepared to make some smart money moves.
Oh my goodness, it's such a good feeling to achieve the goal that I set.
If charity can do it, you can too.
So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Oh yeah, I love that. Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network. Oh man, am I silly or what? But before we go any further, let me get your vino out, ladies, your glass of water, whatever your choices are. But I want to give a toast to all of you because none of this would be happening if not for you. And so, a toast to all of you for really leaning in and leveling up. Now, I think that really Charity's story is a testament, an example of what it means to level up, Right, so I'm going to just give you guys the thumbnail sketch, but you need to watch that program. And literally what I didn't realize is this young woman saw me featured in Essence magazine, reached out to me, as many people do, and I just told her, hey, call me tomorrow at 12 o'clock. What you talking about? How can I help? And she recanted to me that she had just started in this financial services firm, and she really related to me, and she was struggling a little bit. And what I loved about her, here's what I want to say. In order for you to go to the next levels, ladies, you've got to be coachable. Are y'all with me in the chat? I've got to be coachable, right? And so literally, she recanted everything that I told her and how she applied it. And you know what? She threw my quote back. You know how I say knowledge is not power, knowledge correctly applied is power? That's exactly what she threw back. She says, yeah, one of Miss Owen's favorite saying is knowledge correctly applied is power. And hey, that is the power. This young lady went from earning very low. The first thing I said to her, child, you got to make some more money. Right? So here's what I need you to do. I need you to go get this broker's license. Failed it. I said, here's what you need to do. Just do blah, 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 blah. Boom. Went right back, applied that. So now you got to go ask for a promotion. Boom. Went in, asked for a promotion. Then ended up leaving that firm, going to another firm and leveling up. Bought her first house. Bought that. She had always dreamed of buying her first house. Bought her first house. Continued to, and was able to buy. You know how she bought that house? Because at first she didn't think she could afford to invest in that 401k. And I told her, you can't afford not to. And then the next thing I know, she not only contributed to her 401k, but opened up a Roth IRA. And that Roth IRA, because she could take money out of it without penalty on a first-time home buyer perk. I mean, I'm not going to get into it. You guys need to watch the show. But all I want to tell you is you've got to level up. And in order to level up, you cannot go to the next level with the same level of thinking that has gotten you to where you are today. In order to level up, it means that you need to lean in. And you need to go find the resources of the people that can help you level up. And that's exactly why we give our quarterly master classes. And so for those of you who've never attended one of our master classes, if you're a member of the WealthyU Society or Legacy Wealth Accelerator, you don't have to buy a ticket. But here's my challenge to all of you. You know that there are people in your circle who they're watching you, and you're talking about WealthyU, and they want to level up too. My challenge to you is to invite those people in your network, in your circle, that need to level up. And for those of you who are not in the WealthyU Society, I got a little tip for you. If you reach out to your WealthyU ambassador, she has the code to get you in for a significant savings to our Legacy Wealth Masterclass, because in that class, it's the whole theme of the WealthyU, retreat is leveling up. And in that retreat, we've got some very insightful women coming. Sherry Sims, founder of the Black Career Network, is going to be talking about how to level up and lead like a boss. Ladies, in order to make more, you have to become a leader, because your compensation is directly correlated to the number of people within your span of control. That's number one. Number two, you've got to get out. If you expect that you're being in, here's all I want to say, agree or disagree, is so much of your success will be based on your exposure. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Okay? Like, will be based on your exposure. And so to that end, you've got to get out of your comfort zone. And that's why we have one of my good friends, Jandy Turner, CEO of Acuity Events, does events all over the world. and she's going to be talking to us about leveling up on the links. And so if you've ever desired to golf, maybe you've been fearful, maybe you've golfed before and you want to understand the business of golf, that's what she's going to be talking about. Not only etiquette, but how to use it to leverage to level up, then you're not going to want to miss this. You're going to want to be in the room, right? Because she's going to be dropping some very valuable information, right? You're not going to want to, who is in the chat? Tell me who's coming, who's going to be at the Level Up Retreat, March 12th from 10 to 4. Who's going to be there all day? Let me know in the chat if you are going to be in the house, because you're not going to want to miss this. And that's right, Carol, you're going to be there. I'll be there all day. That's right, girl, Lillian. You're going to be there all day getting all the information so you can get information, right? Because that's the point. Because you're going to go away from that on fire. Why do we do these every quarter? Because we know we have to pour into you and give you the kind of insight and knowledge. By the way, you're getting it at all. I mean, I know some of you feel like you got a fire hose on you, right? Because you're learning how to analyze and research stocks. You're learning how to analyze and optimizing and maximizing your mutual fund portfolio. You're learning how to calculate what number you need to secure the bag, right? You're learning how to, invest in financial apps. And then we have the nerve to put together an all-day event to show you how to level up. But here's what I want you guys to understand. And I hope you understand this, is that the conversation is different when you're with women who want to win. Get that, right? Women who want to win. Pauline says, I will be there all day. Alice says, I'm going to be in the house. Vivian says, I am. Michelle's like, I need to start golfing again. That's right. Jacqueline Meekins, I'll be there. Oh, had to throw back on the some Michael Jackson on y'all. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so crazy. I am crazy. But I get up excited every day. And why I'm so excited is because, I just filled out, as an aside. So I just filled out this application for some grant. There are always all these grants out here. I have coaches telling me, Deb, apply for this, apply for that. So I applied for this grant. And so they started asking me these questions, and they were so profound to me, the way I answered them. Because the question was, well, how many people on your team, right? How many of them are full-time? And then they asked this question. They said, how many of them are black, right? And they had like percentages, 25%, 50%, 75%. And what did I write? 100%, right? So that's what I want you guys to understand, is this is not about me. This is about creating opportunity, right? Because when you create opportunity, that's really what wealth is about. In the 7 Wealthy Habits, the framework for all of your coursework, the first habit is a wealthy outlook and is the habit of adding value. Wealth is not about getting, it's about giving. Write that down. Wealth is not about getting, it's about giving, right? But it's about giving from a full cup that is overflowing with abundance. And when you have, and I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about abundance that you can give freely without putting yourself in any kind of financial jeopardy because you've poured into others. And that certainly is how I feel and how I want everyone to feel. Now, I'm going to shift gears here in a minute, though, because I would be crazy if I did not acknowledge that this market is pretty volatile. How many of you have been looking at the stock market and you know that, again, I think I just heard a market commentator talk about the fact that all of the gains of 2000 and that we've had this year have been given up, right? Like we're sort of like right back where we were. But you guys know that last week I talked about inflation and what happens with inflation, why there is inflation. I talked about economic stimulus. And one of the things that I wanted to define really, how many in the chat, how many of you have heard about a bull market and a bear market? How many of you have heard those terms? Let me know in the chat if you've heard. That's right, Michelle. Volatility is real and we're seeing it in real time. Right? So you've heard about the bull and the bear, right? So the bull market is when the market increases by 20%, right? Increases really rapidly above 20%. And that is the definition of a bull market. But a bear market is when the market declines more than 20%. And typically what's driving a bear market is, at 10%, they call it a correction, right? That means that stock prices have been going up and up and up and up. And then what should drive? So let me ask you guys a question in the chat. Tell me, or in the comments, tell me. And let me pull up my Facebook feed too so that I can look. In the comments. How many of you know that what makes stock prices go up? Now, you guys should know this because if you've been attending any of the analyzing and researching stocks, right? What are some of the criteria that you look for? Okay, so Lillian says supply and demand. Yes. Carolyn says scarcity. Stephanie says revenue. Ding, 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 ding. Right? So one of the first criteria that you look at, right, when you're evaluating stocks based on how we do it is revenue or sales, right? And then the next thing you look at are earnings per share. And all earnings per share is revenue or sales divided by the number of shares outstanding of a company. So typically what should make stock prices go up is of any company, the share price of any company go up, is really their sales increasing. Yeah, quarter over quarter, and that's why every quarter they report their sales. But what is even more important than sales? Who wants to tell me what's even more important than revenues and sales? Because that really is the key to a company's success. In the chat, anybody want to guess? What's even more important than sales? Come on, you guys. Profits. Profits. Listen, just like your personal finances, and that's why we focus on net worth and WealthyU. Because you can make a whole lot of money and still be in debt, right? And the same thing can happen with companies, is that companies can have a whole lot of sales, but if they're spending too much to get those sales, right, and their expenses are marketing, and I can relate to that, advertising, salaries. If you just like your personal finances, if you spend too much, you can not have anything left over. And profits are what have left over after you have sales and after you've taken care of all expenses. Okay, I want you guys to get this. So sometimes when the market goes up, the market can be going up and you think that, well, all share prices are going up, and basically there are just more buyers than seller in the market, and that's what makes prices go up. And typically share prices are a function of forecasting, right? And that's why when you are analyzing and researching stocks, one of the criteria is what is the company forecasting what their sales are going to be. And so once they say this is what we think sales are going to be, and then that next quarter hits and they have to say, okay, this is what our sales are. And if they don't meet those numbers, those are called earnings surprises, right? I want you to get that. So they're not meeting their numbers. And so we're always looking out into the future. And so much of how we think about, I just want you guys to get this, right? Like so much about the market, about our lives has to do with what we think is going to happen in the future. And if we have an outlook that says the future is bright, sales are going up, then that's that sentiment is shown. Even in our economy, when people feel good, they're going to go out, they're going to spend money. When they spend money, it's going to make more profits for companies. And so that sort of is what I'm getting into investor sentiment. When the future looks bright, when, companies are being more innovative. Even with COVID, what we saw were some companies did really well because of COVID. Okay, so in that kind of scenario that I painted, that is when you can be in a bull market. And we have been in a bull market for the past 10 years, really. Stock prices have been on the rise. Not that we haven't had some up and downs. Okay, but a bear market is when consumer confidence, investor sentiment is negative. Inflation is going up. I was at my hairdresser. She was like, "Oh, Miss Debbie, do you know this comb costs 40% more than it did 6 months ago?" Right? I had a lady come in and say, "Oh, I was planning a party for my boyfriend and I went in to get some helium and they're out of helium. There was no helium for her." Okay, so I just want you, so that sentiment, you start feeling like that, then you're going to have like a negative sentiment, and you're going to have more of a propensity to want to hold on to what you have. You guys getting this? And so if consumers want to hold on to what they have, if they don't want to spend money, then what's going to happen is that and companies aren't making money, then you're going to see prices decline, right? You're going to see people get fearful too. Is, oh my goodness, my portfolio is up over 50% in the past 5 years. You guys can relate to this, right? And I don't want to lose my profits. So if I don't lose my profits, what do? Then I start selling, right? And then it has almost a ripple effect. And then you start seeing prices decline. And so the interesting thing is, in terms of a bear market, have we seen a bear? Well, we've been close to a bear market. We saw COVID-19. It went down, the market went down. If you're looking at just indexes, S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Average, that went down almost 30% in a very short period of time, but it came right back. And that was an event, right? That was like an event. People are dying, people are getting sick. You don't know what the future holds, right? So whenever there is uncertainty, coming back to that, one of my favorite words, whenever there's uncertainty, people have a tendency, right, to be fearful. And when they're fearful, many investors sell. And so what a bear market means, that we're at, the Dow Jones is at 33,000. Let me just check that, because it's declined a little bit. 33,000. The Dow closed at 33,000. The NASDAQ closed at 13,000, and the S&P 500 closed at 4,200. So what a bear market would be is we've seen a high of about 34,000 or so. A bear market would be 20% of that would mean that the stock market would go down about 6,000 points, right? And that would be a bear market. Yeah, I want you guys to just understand what that 20% means in real term. And for the NASDAQ, it was at 14,000. So 20% of that would be 2,800 points. It would go down. And the reason I want you to understand this is because that so much of the market is psychological, right? Because, I mean, think about this. I don't know if you guys just saw the numbers, but Lowe's came in. Their numbers were, they beat their estimates by big margin. Lowe's, the home whatever store, where I end up far too many days in a week. So some of y'all going to Amazon, I'm hanging out at Lowe's. I just want y'all to know. But anyhow, that's why earnings were up, because I was in there every other day, ordering blinds and all this other stuff. But I digress. Okay. So what I want you to understand is at the same time that a bear market is more about sentiment, is more about is more about not necessarily companies losing money or not being profitable, but there's an overall sentiment that the future is not bright. And so people start they get scared, they start selling because they're afraid that they're going to lose what they've already gained. And so here's the point I want to make. Is that in order to be successful, you cannot focus on just holding on to what you have. That is a fixed mindset, right? In WealthyU, I talk about the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. The growth mindset is when you can see that declines are temporary and you know that in the future, you're going to end up ahead. And the reason I wanted to talk about a bear market is because I know for many of you, you may not have been in the market for, a significant amount of time. For many of you, you're taking more risk. How many of you listening to me or watching me are now more invested in stocks in not just individual stocks, but in stock mutual funds, have more invested in the market than you ever have in your entire life? In the chat and in the comments, let me know if I'm on the right track. Okay, Laurel says absolutely, yes I do, Mimi. And here's the other thing. Zerlee said, it's so great to be understanding what you're talking about because of WealthyU. I love it. That's the point, right? Like the conversation is different. I want this to be different. Like how your pastor would say to you, I don't know why I want to relate this to, but I love my pastors, but you know how the pastor will say to you, y'all, like, you've been eating baby food, right? Like, you're not really praying. You're not into the scripture, like you got to grow up. You got to do more than just read scripture. Your life has to show, that you're a Christian. I forget what the saying, how the saying goes, how, be a Christian, but you don't have to quote scripture. It's escaping me right now. But the point is, that is the point of WealthyU. Like, I want to have a conversation and expose you to the kinds of conversations that are going on in other communities. And if you don't understand it, guess what? You get to Google it. I mean, back in the day, we didn't have Google. right? I had to break out. I still have it. I have this when I started studying for my securities exam, I had this HP calculator, right? And I had to calculate everything, calculate return on investment. Now, you can go on Google and it'll tell you that, whatever. And so I'm not going to dummy this down for you. I want you to understand the reason that I'm talking about a bear market is, so Brenda says, I am. Janet Weldon says, I do. Yes, I do. So the reason, and Felicia Ford Rice, you're absolutely right. The reason that you are more exposed to the stock market is because the value of your portfolio has went up, right? So that is a function. So clearly, if you've been in this market for 5 years and you've invested through your 401k, the value of your investments and the percentage of stocks that you are invested in is more. Okay, so then every day, you're hearing about Russia, you're hearing about inflation, you're seeing the stock market go down, it's down 300, 400, then it goes back up 200, then it goes down 300, 400. Well, if you've never been exposed to that, if you've never been exposed to the market volatility or the market going down consistently, I call it death by 1,000 cuts, where it goes down 300, then it comes back up 100, then it goes down 200, then it comes back up 100, then it goes down 300, and it goes back up 100. Then it goes down 400, and then it goes back up 100. And before you know it, it is down more than 20%. And then the tendency in a bear market is to get really, really fearful. That's right, Stephanie, with your bad self. Learn to buy when the market is low. Because here's the thing, is there are always companies making money. And that's exactly why I want you guys to move from baby food, right? Just investing in mutual funds to actually learning how to analyze and research stocks and build a stock investment portfolio. Because what it will allow you to do is to not just have to depend on the average that your investments are going to make. Mutual funds give you diversification, that's all, but they're going to follow, right, the movement of the market. What you need to be able to do is shift from there and now think about what are the companies in this environment that are going to do well in spite of the economic environment. Is this making sense to you guys? In the chat, let me know if this is making sense to you. So that's why the reason I wanted to talk about a bear market is because I want you to understand that is what a commentator is talking about when he talks about a bear market. 10% decline, a correction, right? So 10% decline, correction, comes back up, right? But a bear market is when it declines. And what you have to understand about that is that it is not about being fearful. Because many of you are going to be investing through your, systematically, monthly, be putting that money in systematically. That's a great way to invest because then as the market goes down, you're picking up more shares. And then, of course, but you got to deal with the fact that the shares that you own are going down, right? But then as the market goes up, you have more shares. And guess what? So this is what I want to leave you with tonight. It's how you win the game. It's not, it's not trying to time the market. It's not being fearful. It's not being emotional. You win the game by the number of assets and shares that you own, right? On any given day, the price of any asset can change. Do you guys get that? Like you haven't won, you haven't lost until you sell. I want you to understand that. You haven't won, you haven't lost until you sell. Just like right now, people are talking, oh, my home is valued at whatever, and I've got all this equity. You don't have a doggone thing until you take it out. I be cracking up. right? That's when people say, you start feeling wealthy. But at any given day, on any given day, things can change. And what I want all of you to do is to get to the point where you're not going to be susceptible to the ups and downs of anything. Right? I want you to get this, because that's what wealthy people know that most people don't. Is the ability to take advantage of opportunities. And opportunities generally present themselves when people are fearful. When people, and that's why, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I can only take certain doses of social media. I was looking at Twitter, and I go on Twitter, I chop it up a little bit, but I was like, I don't like anything these people talking about. They messing with my energy. Like I don't need any, I need some positive energy. I need to, if I want to escape, what many people don't love is I like murder mysteries and stuff like that, because I like to be figuring out who did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's fun for me. But I just don't want to hear people just popping off about, and people pop off on social media because they can. Because if they were sitting right next to you, they wouldn't have am I telling the truth now? If they were sitting right next to you, they wouldn't have nothing to say. Or if they said something and then you walked up on them, what they're going to do? They're going to shy away. And so I say all of that that's really what WealthyU is about. WealthyU is about feeding you, right? It's about feeding you information that you can use to better your life. And, I know you get a lot in this community in terms of, especially for those of you who are in the WealthyU Society. And I say it, that's why we created milestones, so you can take it one step at a time, right? So you know what the number you need to secure your bag, so that you know how to analyze and optimize what you already have, and you know what lever to pull that's going to get you further faster. And then you know how to actually understand. You can turn on CNBC and you can understand the language, right? And then you know how to analyze and research a stock, and how to build a portfolio, how to place a trade. All of this is really designed to increase your financial acumen. Because the most important, the most valuable asset of all is the knowledge of how to build wealth. Agree or disagree with me, ladies? Now I want to open it up to some questions, though. In the chat, I've talked about the bear market. I've talked about what a correction is. I've talked about a bull market. Who's got some questions for me? And hopefully I won't have to Google it. Just kidding. But who's got some questions? Like, I want to know, are any of you in a place, or is there something that maybe you heard that you didn't understand, either in the media, or is there something maybe that you looked at on your statement and you didn't quite understand? Let me go to some of these comments too. Jacqueline says, I maxed my 401 contribution and have a stock purchase account with Merrill Lynch. Congratulations, Jacqueline. I love it. And I guess, I want to know whether or not I'm on point. How are you all feeling about this volatility that you're seeing? In the chat, tell me how you're feeling. That's even better. Great job, Jacqueline. Yes, I am loving this. And I'm loving the growth in this community. Zerlene says, I'm excited. I love it. So you're excited about the volatility. Well, if that is true, then I know you guys are growing, right? Because here's what I want you to know. The antidote to fear. Do you know what the antidote for fear is? Alice says, just riding it out. I love it. Is it a good time to buy partial Google stock until it splits? Well, yeah, I mean, Google's about to split. At the end of the day, a split or whatever doesn't matter. Let's just do the research and find out if Google is a good investment to make and analyze and research based on the 12 criteria. That's right, Anita Jenkins. The antidote to fear is knowledge. That's it, ladies. The antidote to fear is knowledge and experience. Right? Like that's why in WealthyU, you do skill building every month and you build that muscle of knowledge, because the more you do it and then apply it, the better you're going to be at it. I hope this is making sense to you. Carolyn says, I'm watching the ups and downs and I'm not fazed. It's fun watching, right? Because you understand what you already own. So here's what I want to say is this. And if you can get this, it is going to take you far. And it took me a long time to learn this. And it's that you never lose. You either win or you learn. But the most important thing is to learn, right? It doesn't mean to run and hide. It means to really think about if you tried something and it did not work out. First, you have to face it, right? Then you have to figure it out. And then you have to fix it, right? And every time you go through that process where you analyze, right, what happened, and then figure out, okay, what if I try? Here's the thing I want to say. And it's so funny because I was telling one of the contractors that I work with. He said, well, Dad, I was complaining about something that we had done with some advertising, and he threw this back on me. I was looking at the performance of this one thing in one day, and I was like, these things aren't working. We've got 1/10 of what we had yesterday. And he said, Deb, are you looking at the performance of 18 hours? And I was like, yes, I am, because I'm going to be on top of this, right? And he said, Deb, that's like you looking at the stock market being down 300 points today and saying you should sell all your stocks. And so all I could think, I said, okay, I see what you did there. You threw my own rationale. And so, that's really the point, is to try. Everything's an experiment. Everything's not going to work out. But as long as you experiment and learn, you're going to have much more of a chance of winning. I think it was, who's the hockey player? Is it Wayne Gretzky, honey? Is that his name, Wayne Gretzky? Highest score of all time in hockey. And so a guy asked him, he says, well, just tell me the secret. How did you score all those goals? And he said, you can look at my stats. I just took more shots than anybody else. So what is the lesson there, ladies, in the chat? What is the lesson that I just described to you? Michelle said, yes, it's Wayne Gretzky. That's right. Knowledge led Warren Buffett to most of his Netflix stock. That's right. Cassandra says, well, it seems like my 401k is dropping and I'm debating on what to do, but I think I will go assess what I have and make the best decision. It is hard to watch your earnings decrease. This session has helped me with my decision. Good. Cassandra, thank you for that. Thank you for that. And here's what I want to say. It's like I don't want to paint a rosy picture for y'all. You know, like I know you hear some people, you know, will buy on the dip and the market's going down and blah. No, I don't want to paint a rosy picture for you. I want to paint a real picture for you, right? And so the reason I thought that it was important for me to define the difference between a bear market and a bull market is because, number one, you're going to hear people talking about that. And number two, I know that, you know, I open up my portfolio, I look at it, it's like, ooh, wow. Yeah, the market has been going down, right? And so when you look at your own holdings, you're going to see evidence of that. But when you have context, right? This is what I'm giving you, context. Context to understand that bear markets are a function of the human condition at the end of the day, and our overall economic circumstances at any time can change. At any time can change. And so in order for you to win at this, first you have to be prepared for that change and understand that, yeah, things are going to change, right? And then the other thing that you have to be prepared to do is to lean in and, to Cassandra's point, not make a knee-jerk reaction, but use it as an opportunity to assess and evaluate, right? And in this environment, that's the whole point of analyzing and researching your mutual funds. So I'm always going to bring it back to the lesson, right? Because if you look at the criteria that you look at when you're assessing a mutual fund, one of those criteria is your benchmark. Did your investment perform better in average in up markets and in down markets? That's why you look at 10 years. Because you know that you're going to get a down market. And so what you want to see is something more defensive in a down market, and does it perform better than average in an up market? You guys getting this? That's the point. Carol says, take a shot. Zerlene says, don't quit. That's right. The willingness to take chances. Ladies, you cannot achieve anything being constantly worried about what you might lose. And all I'm going to say is we are wired that way, right? We are wired to be risk averse because it's in our DNA. It's all about being safe. And I think for women, even more so, right? So much of our time is spent thinking about not losing. But, hopefully in WealthyU, what you are learning is to make that shift from that income mindset, which says that let me keep what I have, to that wealth mindset that says let me take what I have and let me grow it. Let me grow it, right? And knowing that just like any seed, it's not going to grow overnight. You got to put a little more on it. You got to put a little more into it. You got to analyze it. You got to research it. You got to put a little more in it. You may have to diversify and put it over here and over there. You might have to add something new to it in technology that's coming on. You might have to reach out a little bit and say, okay, I'm going to venture out of just this asset class and I'm going to invest in some real estate. I'm going to learn a little bit more about these digital assets. And I may not put all my eggs in one basket, but I may invest in that. Or I heard about this new company that's coming out. It's very early stage. It doesn't have a track record. But you know what? I've got a few thousand over here. It might, who knows? I might lose my 3,000, but it could become 300,000. That is the wealth mindset. And Cher says, as I retired, it's a little scary to see your 403B decline. Sharon, I'm so glad you said that, because that's real, right? And so what I want you to understand, and that this is going out to my retirees, is that any money that you're going to need within the next 5 years should not be exposed to the market. But you're going to have to get more comfortable with that other portion going up and down. Right? And you're going to have to get comfortable with, but of course, in this case, the other point I want to make is that if you are retired, one of the things you want to make sure of, right, is that you have the percentage of your stock market exposure that you are comfortable with. And what do I mean by that? What, is it 50% in stocks? Is it only 40% in stocks? What is that comfort level? And then you got to stick to it, right? You got to stick to it, because a confused mind has a tendency to do rash things and not see it through. Has this made sense to all of you ladies tonight? Has this made sense to you? I hope so. Because here's all I'm going to say is that, as I foresee it, and as someone who's been in the markets, decades, is that we need to be prepared. And so one of the things I said is the antidote to fear is knowledge. And that's why all of you need to be at our Legacy Wealth Masterclass. You need to connect with your ambassador, because she has got the secret sauce if you want to come to this level up. Again, amazing cast of speakers who are going to be pouring into you. I'm going to give a challenge. Who's the person that's going to get the most people in the door? That's what I want to know. Who's going to invite the most and get their circle to sign up? And so again, our Legacy Wealth Retreat, Level Up, is March 12th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's all day, but we have a lot of fun. Our rockin' DJ's gonna be there. And I promise you that you're going to walk away from there knowing more, wanting to grow more, wanting to do more, and leveling up. And with that, I bid you all a good night. Thanks so much for coming to WealthyU Wind Down Wednesday. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, founder and CEO of WealthyU. We help Black women build their first investment portfolios to 7 figures and beyond. And good night. Bye.